There are many ways to fire up voters in battleground states. A new campaign to do just that includes some of the nation's most critically acclaimed award-winning artists. They're creating billboards and street art that's critical of President Trump. The artwork highlights the president's actions on police brutality, racism, hate speech, immigration, and coronavirus, overlaid with controversial statements that he and his allies have made. The campaign is called Remember What They Did. The artwork, voter registration drive, and Get Out the Vote effort focus on African-American, Latino, and young people who are frequently underrepresented at the polls. Joining us now is one of the co-founders of Remember What They Did, Scott Goodstein. We're also joined by Shepard Fairey, the artist known for an iconic poster of Barack Obama called Hope. Good to have both of you gentlemen with us tonight. Scott, let me start with you. How did this campaign come about?
Yeah, I mean, I had the honor of working with Shepard back in 2008 when it was called New Media, and we were doing everything to get an all-time high, an increase in young voter and African-American turnout. And this time around, you're seeing in 2016 a decline in youth vote by small margins, 4 or 5%, and you're seeing a decline in African-American turnout. And as everybody and your viewers know, Joshua, that you're looking at under 10,000, roughly 10,000 votes, under 80,000 votes across Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And I just felt I needed to do everything possible. And then on the arts community, I hated calling up Shepard in October and being like, hey, can you draw something amazing for us last minute? So let's start early and make sure that artists actually have time to use their craft, and let's put word on the streets to the folks that are affected the most right now. Your last story was about all this international stuff that is very hard for people to relate to, but let's think about like the police brutality, the systemic violence, the systemic racism, and who's affected the most by the pandemic, right, and make sure that we're talking about the importance of voting and voting them all out.
Shepard, is there a different strategy from state to state for different parts of the country? Since, you know, as Scott mentioned, there were certain areas that kind of made the difference for Donald Trump in becoming president. Does the work change depending on where in the country you are?
Well, I think there are people in all the battleground states that are, they're unhappy with the direction the country's going under Trump. So they just need the right stimulation to vote. And I think that a lot of people think that the system doesn't work well enough for them. But if there's media that gets their attention, that makes them realize what's at stake in this election, I think that any nudge in the right direction for the voter can make a big difference. People talk to their friends, and a lot of political messaging is within a very narrow area. It feels safe, and that's the complaint I hear from young people all the time. So some things that have a little more edge, a little more teeth, I think that could get some people out, can make a big difference. And so that's what we're trying to do with this campaign. And, I don't think that using Trump's words or any of these other people's words, there's anything underhanded about that. It is what they said. It's just illustrating how serious it is and how devastating it is. I think it was what I was trying to do with my image.
Scott, what does success look like for this campaign?
Building an opposition movement and a groundswell so that it's not just Donald Trump out, but it is a clear-cut message that an opposition movement existed, and that's how we got Biden and Harris elected. And to me, there's just a giant portion of hard to count, hard to find, voters that digital's not going to reach. And so doing something that's images that are eye aware and evolving and beautiful, that are in the neighborhoods directly, hopefully are going to shock and wake some people up. They'll go to RememberWhatTheyDid.com and be able to pledge to vote and find their voter registration and early absentee voting.
Shepard, before I have to let you guys go, you obviously created that Hope poster back in 2008 that fired up so many people and that was so iconic for so many people. How do you reflect on creating art that has impact today? I mean, as Scott mentioned, reaching people digitally can be a bit of a crapshoot. How do you reflect on that now, having created one piece of political art that was incredibly impactful.
Well, one of the things that made the Hope poster work was that it was grassroots. It wasn't created by the campaign, and it existed on the streets, posted up on lawn signs, as stickers, as T-shirts. And I think that Remember What They Did is functioning in a similar way, where it's taking that energy that you saw with the protests for racial justice after Breonna Taylor and George Floyd were murdered, and it's translating that but making a link to the need to vote. And I think that democracy has so many different facets. If we can create a bridge between the street and the protests and then needing to go to the polls, I think that could be very effective.
Scott Goodstein and Shepard Fairey, the new campaign is called Remember What They Did. Scott, Shepard, thank you both for being with us.
Thanks for having me.